is Lindsay Ann, and this is Can't Stop, Won't Stop Warriors on YouTube. If you haven't already done so, please click my logo below and subscribe to Can't Stop, Won't Stop Warriors. It's free, you guys, and your subscription will help get Jennifer Medze's story to more people. People who are going through a similar situation. Maybe someone listening is in an abusive relationship or is witnessing abuse and doesn't know what to do or what the consequences might be for not reporting it. Please like and subscribe.
Thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
Oh, I didn't think you were going to answer.
Sorry, I know. I was trying to find my earbuds, and I was like, I can't miss this. Sorry. Anyway, how are you?
I'm
okay. I'm so glad that you were able to call and get through. And oh my goodness.
Well, I was going to yesterday, but they locked us down for a stupid drill.
Oh, I know. Oh
Yeah.
gosh. Okay. Does that happen a lot?
It's happening more often.
Oh. What was the drill for?
I guess to see if they know how to count.
Yes, I finally was able to get a phone call from Jennifer Medze. Prior to this, we've only been able to do video calls and in-person calls. So, yes, you get to hear her actual voice today and in many upcoming episodes. This week, you'll hear Jen talk about the trial and what was going through her mind during the worst days of her life. Okay, so in episode 22, you heard Jennifer Medze's retained attorney, Robert Donaldson, and then district attorney, William A. Shaw, give their closing arguments, which ultimately led the jurors to a guilty verdict on all 5 charges that Jen faced. I want to be very clear here, you guys. I do not blame the jurors for their verdict. They went on the testimony and evidence that was provided and presented to them. Yes, the burden is on the Commonwealth to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. And it appears that Bill was able to convince the 12 jurors of Jennifer's guilt. Robert Donaldson's job was to discredit the Commonwealth's witness testimony and create doubt in the jurors' minds. He failed. He didn't call any witnesses to the stand besides his then 21-year-old client, Jennifer Medze. And according to Jen, he didn't even prepare her for her testimony and what cross-examination would be like. Let's hear from Jen about her recollection of preparing for the trial and what those dreadful trial days were like. I asked Jen how Robert Donaldson, her attorney, prepared her for the trial.
Well, I feel like he really didn't prepare me at all that I was going to take the stand. He was saying about what he was going to say to me about school and about work, but nothing really major.
I wondered what she was thinking when the Commonwealth's witnesses took the stand, and if she would even make eye contact with the jurors during the trial.
I mean, I was shocked, but then I was also like, well, whatever. I couldn't believe that they got up there and they were saying about the drug use, and that just basically went in one ear and out the other of the jurors.
Mhm.
I would look at them every so often, but I was a falling mess.
You were what?
Day. I was crying every day.
Aww.
This is a call from
Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Cambridge Springs.
This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
So you mean while each person was on the stand, you were just bawling?
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
And then it was Jen's turn to go to the witness stand, where she said she was terrified the whole time. I was curious what it was like for her to go back to Clearfield County Jail, knowing when she woke up, she had to go through it all again.
I would talk about it to certain people. I would be a mess. I wouldn't really eat much. I was sick to my stomach. My nerves were just shot.
I asked Jen what she did while the jurors were deliberating her fate. She said that during those dreadful 79 minutes,
I sat in a little room in the courtroom.
By yourself?
And then, yeah.
Wait, you didn't get to see your family or be with anyone?
No, I was in a room alone.
For the whole time?
The whole time.
Were you in handcuffs? Were you...
No.
What were you doing?
Sitting there, I was crying. I didn't know what to do. I was probably ripping at my nails or biting my nails. That's what I do.
Oh, my God, Jess.
I just waited, twiddling my thumbs.
and then I wanted to know if her attorney, Robert Donaldson, talked with her to prepare Jen for both outcomes. Did he say to her what would happen if she's found guilty and what the process would be like if she's found not guilty?
He was telling me that I was only going to be found guilty on child endangerment. That's the only thing they can get me on.
So at that time, you were kind of still preparing to go home.
Yes.
Interesting, because WTAJ reported Donaldson saying this about what he expected the outcome to be.
I spoke with both attorneys after the verdict. Donaldson says he was anticipating third degree or involuntary manslaughter, so the verdict came as no surprise. While Shaw says...
What a dick move to tell Jennifer Medzie, his client, the only charge she will get is child endangerment, when it's later reported that Robert Donaldson went into trial hoping for manslaughter charges. What a sick, sick attorney. How can he look at himself and be proud of his representation of Jennifer Medzie? He failed her 100%, and he failed Sophia Hoffman as well. So it's time to go back into the courtroom, you guys. They have a verdict. Guilty on all charges.
I lost it. I wanted to fall to the floor, but I had to, my legs were shaking, everything.
Did you look at your parents? Did you...
No, I felt like I was terrified to turn around. The sheriffs were going to, tackle me or something if I would have turned around. Well, they take me back and, handcuff me and put me in the car to take me back to CCJ.
Jennifer then sat in jail for another 2.5 months waiting for her sentencing hearing. I wondered how Robert Donaldson, her attorney, her paid attorney, prepared his client for this hearing.
I had no idea how sentencing went. None whatsoever.
Not, you mean like leading up to the sentencing hearing? You had nothing. Nothing.
Nothing.
You didn't know that his family was going to be talking, that Cody was going to be talking. You didn't know any of that?
No, and the one person that did talk, I had no idea who they were.
Jen had no idea that Sophia's family was going to talk. She didn't even know that her own family was going to speak on her behalf. Let's now go to Monday, November 6, 2017, at the Clearfield County Courthouse. Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus Jennifer Medzie. Then District Attorney Bill Shaw opened with a review of Jennifer's crimes: murder of the third degree, aggravated assault, simple assault, endangering the welfare of children, recklessly endangering another person. And he reminded the court that
this child, baby Sophia, suffered multiple, I think there were 6 or 8 multiple blunt force traumas to her head, meaning she received 6 to 8 blows to her head. She had hair loss, some other injuries, but that ultimately her brain was encased in blood that caused this child to pass away. The defendant has denied any involvement, any responsibility. She fails to take any responsibility whatsoever regarding this incident. I think it's their position that she's not responsible, that it's somebody else's fault. So we think that, under those circumstances, without taking that responsibility, she is perhaps a candidate for reoffending in the future. If she thinks that this is all right and this type of behavior is all right, she could do this again to some other small child. So we're just asking the court to consider those facts when fashioning a sentence.
Notice how Shaw conveniently increased the number of, quote, blows to her head, end quote. You guys can go back and listen. Dr. Shakir testified to 4 blunt force traumas to the head. Bill Shaw told the jury during deliberation that Sophia suffered 6 separate blunt force traumas to the head. And now he's telling the judge it's 6 to 8 blows to her head. Bill Shaw told the court that there were a few victims that wanted to address the court. Cody Lauder, Sophia's biological father, was the first called. My son will read directly from the transcripts.
I'd just like to start off by saying thank you for letting me speak and everything on behalf of my family and, most importantly, my daughter. But I just ask that you just give her the max that you can do, anything, so she doesn't have the chance to do this to any child again. I mean, she ripped our family apart. I don't want to see any other family have to go through that again or anything. She won't, claim up to it. So she's going to probably have a chance to do it again.
Cody then said he can't keep talking, and the court had him step to the side for a moment. In the meantime, Donald Welker went to the mic. He told the court that he is Sophia's great uncle, and then he said, read by D,
thank you for giving us the ability or the opportunity to speak. But I just would like to speak on how I would like to speak for Sophia, since she's not here and she can't speak for herself, and a little bit about how it has impacted our family. She was the first grandchild in our family, so she was, I mean, she was a very special child, and she brought so much joy and happiness to us. And there was just so many times. I mean, the last time I saw her, I stepped. I went into my mother's house, and she was sitting on the love seat inside the door, and she was on timeout. And as soon as I walked in, she looked up at me like, oh, thank God, Uncle Donnie's here. And she immediately started to get up. And then she looked over at her dad, and he said, okay, you can get up. But that's just one of the many examples of the joy that she brought to us. And she was like a granddaughter to me. And my first granddaughter was born 2 months later. And it was such a bittersweet experience because still the pain from losing Sophia and, combined with the joy of a new child. But it just has impacted our family so much. I mean, and it would be one thing if this was something that somebody lost their patience and did something. But the fact that it was done repeatedly, hurting a child that was defenseless, I mean, and the pain and the suffering it has brought to so many people, we'll never get a chance with her again. I mean, she's gone. And so I just wanted it's just inexcusable.
Next, Sophia's grandma, Lola Welker, read by me. I waited 46 years for Soph, my little girl. I miss Soph so much. There isn't a day I don't think about her. I understand it would be hard for Jen's family, but they still have her here on this earth. We don't got Soph. We don't get to see Soph. Soph doesn't get to go to school. She doesn't get to go to college. She doesn't get to meet the love of her life and get married and have children of her own. Soph doesn't get to celebrate another birthday. Soph was robbed from all that. September 23rd was her 6th birthday. Soph didn't get to go to Chuck E. Cheese and have her birthday party and play with her little friends. I went to the cemetery and released 6 balloons with a kiss and a message on them to her. That's how we have to celebrate her birthday now. It's not right and it's not fair. Soph was a sweet and lovable little baby girl. Soph didn't deserve what happened to her. Soph didn't do a darn thing to Jen. Soph didn't deserve to have her life taken away. She was only 2 years old. Soph won't be here for her little brother. He will only know her through pictures and the memories we will tell him. They will never get to have a brother-sister bond. I watch America's Got Talent, and I see the little girls, and I cry because Soph will never get to show us what talent she would have. I see little girls, and I wonder what Soph would look like now, and wonder what Disney character she would be into now. I miss our time together so much. Soph was my little shadow. She would be right behind me doing what I was doing, or at least wanting to be doing what I was doing. She was a little comedian. I truly believe she was an angel sent from God. She helped me through a tough time in my life just by being there. Soph was so sweet and so lovable. She loved to play with her baby dolls and Barbie dolls. Soph loved it when we would dance to the country music videos on TV. She wanted to keep dancing. She did a lot of giggling when it was bath time. She was so comical and silly. Soph knew just what to do to make you laugh. I miss her so much. I know that every parent and grandparent says their child and grandchild is the sweetest, cutest, and best little baby. Soph was all that. But there was also something special and unique with Soph. As I said before, I truly believe with all my heart and soul she was an angel sent from God. I miss her so much. Soph also had a special bond with Gigi, her great-grandmother. They loved each other deeply, as we all did. The pain is still as deep and painful as the day I got the phone call to go to the hospital. I don't know how to put into words to ask you to give Jen what she deserves, other than to please give her what she deserves for taking Soph's life away and taking her away from us. Thank you for hearing. Then Cody was ready to speak again, and he finished his statement with,
Yeah. I always grew up believing in giving people second chances and understanding for mistakes and everything. But there's no second chance for harming a child. She was innocent. She was 2. What could she do? And this is not no just simple matter of this little drama stuff. No. She murdered my 3-year-old daughter that could not defend for herself. She could have left. She could have did anything besides hurt her. But she chose to hurt her, and now she has to pay.
When asked if there was anything further from the Commonwealth, Bill Shaw said that he received a pre-sentence memo from Donaldson, and he found some of the letters in there, quote, troubling, end quote. He said that, quote, some people perhaps try to lay some blame onto Cody, and frankly, that doesn't sit well with me, end quote. He said that it's reflective of failing to take responsibility and that it sends a message on the mind frame of the defendant. And he asked the court to, quote, fashion an appropriate sentence, end quote. Y'all, if you recall, it appears that one of the letters Bill Shaw is referencing was the one I read in episode 3 of this series. The 13-page letter submitted by one of Cody's ex-girlfriends. It's so eye-opening and impactful, in my opinion, that I'm going to read it again. And as you listen this time, keep in mind this letter appears to be completely disregarded by the judge and nearly made fun of by Bill Shaw. It truly shows the character of these 2 alleged corrupt officials, in my opinion. She states, quote, I'm not exactly sure how to start this letter. I was asked by Jen Medze's father to give my story of life I had with Cody Louder while dating. I want to make it clear I have no intention of saying he's guilty, she's guilty. That's not my place. I also don't know Jen Medze or have any reason to even thought of speaking out. I was asked, and due to the experience I had personally, I agreed to write. Also, this is scary. If the Louders and friends of Cody's knew I was sharing my story with a judge, I don't know the backlash I'd experience, but someone needs to expose the environment that was. I officially started talking to Cody via Facebook about 3 to 4 years ago. Probably 4 years, actually. So we went fast. I moved in with my son, who was about 3. We moved in after a month. I know, stupid. I was so incredibly dumb and broken. The first sign of abuse started shortly after. It started with slight isolation from my friends and my gram, making you feel guilt for wanting to leave and hang out with friends or family. The drug habit he had seemed to get worse. He would spend money on pills every week. When he was on them, he was, quote, nice, end quote. Off, he was on edge, verbally abusive. He would call names and just make you feel so worthless, as if you needed him. The physical abuse happened only a few times, luckily because he was incredibly strong. The first time was on a weekend. We were going to bed, and he said something dumb. So I turned my back to him and tried to sleep. He did not like that, so he grabbed my hair and pulled hard, then let go. Me being me, I turned around and hit him. I felt it was in defense and yelled, quote, don't ever hit me, hurt me, or touch me like that. You have no right, end quote. Then he picked me up and slammed me on the floor, hitting my tailbone and chipping my bottom tooth from my head bouncing and my teeth hitting together. I ran to the bathroom in pain, crying. I was scared. I was never hurt so bad, physically. My son was at his dad's, so I walked out of the bathroom and started getting dressed. He realized what I was doing, going to walk home, probably hitchhike once I hit the main road. He said, no, where are you going? Don't leave. I'm sorry, end quote. I yelled, no, look what you did. You hurt me so bad. Like, what the fuck, Cody? He, I guess, was overwhelmed with my yelling and took me by the throat with 2 hands and slammed my head 3 times extremely hard on his closet door, triggering an instant headache. He then forced me into bed after he was crying and made me cuddle with him. Feelings of violation were worse than being molested as a young girl. I can't explain why. To this day, I suffer from whiplash because of him and have x-rays and a doctor to speak on behalf of my injury. I was never in any accident to trigger whiplash, only beat. My spine and my neck is still straight from that moment. My tailbone hurt for a month after the incident, and yet I stayed. Why? I don't know. He made you feel like you needed him. I never thought I'd be that girl. The physical abuse stopped. The mental abuse never stopped. He would show up at work, my work, and watch me interact with customers. Would threaten to beat other guys with baseball bats at Woods parties if I even looked their way. One time, I was casually chatting with a male friend at a party, and Cody pulled me aside and poured a can of beer all over me. I've never felt so small, ever. He destroyed whatever self-worth I had inside. He made me feel crazy. My son was scared one night from a thunderstorm. So Cody said, no, he can't sleep in my bed. So I laid on the couch with him. Cody stormed out yelling at me because I was there soothing my son. In fear of being thrown outside in pouring rain with a toddler, I put my son in the room he was put in, shut the door, and held it shut and cried as I listened to him scream for his mom. He didn't understand why I was doing what I was doing. Even now, writing this has me in complete tears. The fear and manipulation made me fail a child, my own son. Not long after that, I went to work one day and asked Cody to watch my son, so he did. He then shows me a video later on of him and my son outside on a very hot day. He treated my son like a dog, playing fetch. My son wanted to go in. He was so hot, but Cody says, no, go get it. I don't know how long he forced my son. Thankfully, not enough to hurt him to the point of heat exhaustion. This has broken my heart all over again. I can't believe I was in this position with a child. After that, I never had him watch my son again. I would have a friend watch him, or my gram. I couldn't risk my son dealing with poor treatment or neglect. My son did not talk well until 4 or 5, so there's no way he could express to me what went on, or how he even felt. I know how I felt over time. Imagine his feelings. Later on, after leaving him, my son would say things like, Cody red truck. Cody says, go to bed. Cody says, leave me alone. Things he never said around me. So I can only assume he would say that to my son while I was working. Months went on with the same verbal and mental abuse, down to forcing me to eat. I'd say, no, I'm fine, and he'd hound me over and over and over, making your head hurt until you just did what he said. He would brag over throwing exes' phones, making females cry, persuading girls to do things they weren't exactly comfortable with. But how he was so close to persuading girls to give him, quote, plumpking, end quote. Blowjob while crapping. Just odd things. One night we got into an argument, something dumb, I'm sure. He came to my work, demanded his keys, saying he was going to pack my stuff. I said I'd do it myself, gave him his keys, and he left. At the end of my shift, it was 11 p.m., and I was closing minute mark. I'm alone. I lock up, finish my duties, and walk out back. He was there in his truck waiting. I walk past the truck to go to the front of the store to lock the ice up, and he slams the gas and screeches the tires around to the front. Now I'm scared shitless. I wouldn't have doubted I'd get run over. My real at-the-moment thought. So I get in and I buckle. He starts screaming while driving. He was obviously drunk. Screaming names, saying I don't care, and a bunch of stuff. I kept quiet. The last time I yelled back, I got hurt. We arrived to his home, and I got out of the truck and shut the door. Probably too hard, to be honest. He starts yelling, "Come on, you're going to your Grams now." I said, "Okay, but let me get my things." He says, "No." And then I say, if a cop was here, he would allow me to get a few belongings. That cop comment sent him into a fury. He charged at me, yelling how he was going to give me a reason to call the cops. What happened next? I can't even believe now. He knocks my items, phone, drink, purse, from my hands, throws me on the ground, and starts kicking me while I lay in a fetal position, trying to protect my face, head, and stomach. He kicks and kicks, and he punches with his closed fists. I'm screaming over and over, "Stop! Stop, Cody, you're going to kill me!" Sir, I truly believed I was in severe danger. He stopped after what felt like an hour, but it was probably only 3 minutes. He forces me up, demanding I find the keys he lost while beating me. When I wouldn't say yes, he acted as if he was going to hit me or slap or something. So I hurried and said okay and started looking as I'm crouched in pain, just silently crying. I find them, and he takes all of my things, takes my cell and searches all my texts and calls, goes through my Facebook, deleting guys I'm guessing now he felt threatened by, yelling at me how it's my fault I was beat, how I make him go crazy. I'm on the couch, head down, not even daring to make eye contact. I glance at my throbbing arm, and it looks like I had a tennis ball implanted on the arm. Not the forearm, but on the fatty, fleshy part opposite of the flat forearm side. Forgive me, I don't know what you call it. Instantly, black and blue. I touch it and wince in pain. I then look at him. He sees my arm and just chucks my phone. He then says, "Let's go to bed now." I don't speak. I just listen. Again, forced to cuddle the person who I just felt was literally choosing to take my life or not. Call it an exaggeration, but those feelings are nothing like I've ever felt. I cry myself to sleep. He awakes at 4 a.m.-ish to go to work. I look for my phone, and he must have it. That's when I speak up saying, "I want the phone I paid for." He didn't answer, but left it on the table. I tried calling my gram, the only one I thought to help, but she doesn't answer. So I was stuck. That day, I made the decision to slowly, sneakily take my and my son's stuff back home to my Grams. It took 1 more month to leave and never look back. And still, I cried. I felt so sad. Why? I don't know. I don't have pictures of all my bruises from that last abuse, but plenty of people saw it. His stepmom asked, "What happened to your arm?" in front of the whole family. So I said, "I hit it at work." After I said that, I thought, why am I lying? But I did. My friends knew. Cassandra Evans knew the abuse. She saw the marks. My gram and others. I can say the mental abuse really screwed with my mental health. I ask that you take his actions into consideration when you judge and sentence Jen. Like I've said, I don't know her at all, but I do know Cody, the environment he created, and the craziness he puts females through. I have since moved on from the emotional and physical wounds and have found Jesus. I couldn't be happier and more thankful for the inner peace that I can only pray that the people, both sides involved, find Jesus above anything. He can provide that peace and forgiveness neither could find anywhere else. His forgiveness is not limited. Amen. Sorry for the sloppy letter. It's late and I'm tired and I'm pregnant. I hope this letter provides some type of meaning. What a sick person Cody is. And you guys, he currently, as of this episode, has shared custody of a young son. Unbelievable, in my opinion. So after Shaw brings up the letters of support to Jennifer, Judge Frederick Ammerman confirmed that he too received and read all the letters attached. And he read the names of the 33 people who wrote a letter through the victim witness office. Then Freddie, of Freddie's Town, said this, quote, here's some Facebook stuff, which I don't pay much attention to be honest with you. I'm not going to file that stuff, end quote. Wait a minute, Frederick. You don't file Facebook stuff? What about the Facebook message you filed during Jennifer's trial? The one written on Jen's account and addressed to Pee-wee? You certainly didn't have a problem filing that Facebook stuff. I guess when you're Freddie, you can do whatever the fuck you want. Then he talked about some articles that were sent to him regarding other people charged with murder and what their sentences were. Sharon Comets was sentenced 8 to 20 years for third-degree murder. Another woman pled guilty to involuntary manslaughter, and Paul Sawyer II served 6 months in jail for punching a child. Then Frederick Ammerman clearly took offense to one of the letters submitted. He said, quote, there was a reference in one of the letters that made some inference about, that the judge is going to have to impose a heavy sentence because of publicity or public pressure. I take exception to that. People can think whatever they think. This is America. But I want to state for the record that I do not ever fashion a sentence based upon publicity or any kind of public pressure. That's not what judges are supposed to do, end quote. Y'all, I literally spit out my coffee when I read that part of the transcript for the first time. The guy that runs Freddie's Town wants people to believe he is a fair and impartial judge? You know what else is not what a judge is supposed to do, Frederick? Judges aren't supposed to interject and ask a witness to explain to the jury why it's no longer called shaken baby syndrome. And you know what I take exception to, Fred? I take exception to your buddy John T. Caldwell and his minions allegedly getting away with murder. I take exception to Tim Spingola getting away with criminal acts against his ex-wife and allegedly many others. I take exception with one of your alleged personal dealers, Clint Adelman, finally getting charged with Dalton Cole's murder, only after the feds got involved. I take exception to a handful of people reaching out to me knowing firsthand that you, Frederick Amerman, prefer Coke. You know, Coke over Pepsi. I take exception to more than you know. I know about your daily shenanigans, Fred. I can think what I want, Fred. This is America. Judge Frederick Amerman stated that the recommendation of the probation office is that Jennifer Medzie is sentenced 20 to 40 years in the state correctional institution for women in Muncie, the maximum possible sentence within the standard range. Robert Donaldson then told the court that there are a few people that would like to say a few things in support of Jennifer. Jennifer's aunt, Bonnie Fanush, spoke. Thank you for allowing me to speak on Jen's behalf. Today, you have a decision to make. Two families are asking. One is asking for justice, and the other one is asking for mercy. I'd like to address Sophie's family from Acts 16:31. Believe on the Lord Christ, and you will be saved. Thank God he has made it possible for you to see your child someday if you receive Jesus Christ as your Savior. I'm here to ask for mercy and kindness for Jennifer Medzie, to provide the minimum sentence for Jennifer, to prevent any more suffering. So many have suffered already. Thus, says the Lord of our host, render true judgment, show kindness and mercy to one another. Zechariah 7:9. At the time of the incident, Jen was barely 18 years old, and I know the district attorney is asking maximum sentence. However, it will not bring Sophia back. Jennifer will be more valuable as a contributing member of society than being incarcerated for many years. She will continue to suffer for all the days of her life, but showing mercy and leniency will allow her to become a more active member of society. Jennifer is a good person who cares for others and has compassion. She has a good heart and is a hard worker. I do not know what happened to Sophia, but I know the truth lies with God. Please, I beg you to show mercy and kindness to Jennifer. Next, the pastor at Trinity United Methodist Church, Reverend Brenda Leahy. Thank you for allowing me to speak on Jennifer's behalf. I have known the Medzie family for quite a few years as their pastor at Trinity United Methodist Church, and have really gotten to know Jen over these past few months, as I have been counseling with her and walking with her through what she has to endure right now. Every time I have visited Jen, she's been so caring and compassionate about everyone. She asks about others before I even get to begin to talk to her about how she's doing. We have shared some passages of scripture together to give her hope, to give her encouragement to go on. She's been very receptive of that. She asks me questions when she's reading the Bible. She's just trying to make sense of what has happened to her in her life and really finding no true answer to that as far as outside forces. But I'm hoping that she's finding peace with Jesus through all of this. I just have come to know Jennifer as a very loving, very compassionate, kind person. She talks very favorably about her nephew Aiden, who was mentioned, who's just 8 years old, who just loves her dearly. And she misses being with him. She misses being with her family. I do too ask for mercy to be upon her as she comes before you. I hope you will extend her grace as well. Next was Jennifer's mother, Julie, and then her father, Stuart.
Sorry, Your Honor, I'm Jennifer's mother. My name is Julie. I was told to tell you about my daughter, but I don't even know where to start. She is an amazing person. I'm sorry. She's a sweet child. She's a sweet young lady. Jennifer helps everyone. I mean, the people who got burned out of their house. She gave them clothes. She buys young ladies phone cards. never had a problem with anyone. Very well liked in school, teachers and classmates. Jennifer did graduate with her class. It was a lot of hard work, but Jen did it. I have a grandson at home named Aiden. She helped us raise Aiden. Best friends. She would teach Aiden his numbers, colors. By the time he was 2, he knew everything he needed to know to go to school. Jen got a job working at Conklin's Corners Antiques Barn in Phillipsburg. Jen loved her job, works every day she could. She would never hurt a soul, nor would she. She never got into trouble, never did drugs. Jennifer really is a good person. When we would go to church together, she was my church buddy. People say you marry your best friends. I gave birth to mine. I believe, Your Honor, in Jennifer's innocence. And I stand before you, and I'll stand before God, saying Jennifer's innocent. Your Honor, you're not only sentencing Jennifer, but you're sentencing Jennifer's whole family. Your Honor, I beg you, please. I beg you for mercy. Please. And I told Jen I loved her. And Jen told me she loved me back.
Hello, Your Honor. I'm pleading for mercy for my daughter, my best friend Jennifer. Your Honor, she is the sweetest, most caring person you would ever meet. She has helped so many people with benefits and they were having for sick people. She has the Lord in her heart. She grew up caring, loving, home. Jennifer would go everywhere with me. She helped me cut the cemeteries and playgrounds in Morse Township. She shoveled snow for neighbors for free. She was a hard worker. She had a job at Conklin's. She would go to work. Anytime anybody missed, she would always be there. She never missed herself. She'd buy phone cards for her friends. She would ask if we had any extra food that we could give them. That way they could have breakfast for in the morning. So we always gave. Anytime they could call, she was the first one to be there for anybody. The first day that Jennifer went out to the Lauders, me and my wife ended up going out there to get her. We didn't know where they lived at, so we went to the grandparents' house and we talked to her, to Mr. Lauder out there, and he said that they were talking about Jen quitting school and being cyber schooled, that she wasn't coming home, but he said that they just got talking that he insisted that Jennifer comes back home and goes back to school because she's a smart young lady. Well, we ended up going down. I work for Walmart, so I did not want to lose my job, so I didn't get out, which I wish I would have. But my wife stood outside yelling until he answered the door. He had the door open halfway and not let her come out. I was just yelling myself, but I wasn't going to get out of the car and cause any harm, because if I would have, it wouldn't look pretty. I wish I would have, I could have did the same thing that he's done to women, because he's not a very nice person. And the reason I don't allow him at my house anymore is because he was on a drug charge, and I asked him about it, and he told me no, it was not him, it was another Cody Lauder. If you're going to be honest with me, I would have forgave you, But don't lie to me and ask me, to come back to my house. Also, whenever they were in Pittsburgh, the DA asked them not to give them organs away. Me, as a father, I would keep every inch of that person intact to make sure I find out who hurt my child and what happened to it, and not give anything away until I know. Yes, it's great that he gave parts away to save other people, but honest to God, I want to know exactly what happened to my daughter before I gave anything away. And the last thing, my grandson, I was writing my letter last night, and he says, I remember the day that they took her from our home. If I could come with you today, I would ask the judge to take my piggy bank and let her come home. I miss her. She always took me for ice cream, played badminton with me, played board games, and read books to me. He says that he prays on the bus that one day, whenever he's coming home from school, that she will be the one getting him off the bus. Honest to God, I swear to God, we all miss her. We all love her. And she is the most kind, innocent person that you'll ever meet. If you wouldn't have known her from here, you would have known her from outside. Anybody honest to God, you would have never, ever known. You wouldn't believe this. 100%, you would not believe this. So with all my heart and soul, to God I will stand in front of you. No, I will ask him why this has happened to her. She is a sweet child, and that's why she is still a child herself. That is all I have, Your Honor.
And Jennifer herself was the last person to address the court. Read by my daughter.
I'm not a mean and vicious person like everybody in this county probably thinks I am. I love being around kids. I love helping people. I really miss my nephew, both of them. And I'm going to miss my niece that's going to be born. I would just like to be out with my family. I'm not mean. I'm not. I don't have a mean bone in my body. I guess that's it.
Attorney Donaldson asked the judge to, quote, simply truncate this tragedy by sentencing Miss Medzie in the mitigated range, end quote, which is 60 to 72 months in a state correctional institution. The court has the final say, and here is what Frederick Ammerman had to say. Read by me. This is one of these impossible situations. On the one hand, we have the Louder family. They're never going to have a 2-year-old Sophia back. She's gone. They're going to have to live with that the rest of their life. On the other hand, we have Miss Medzie here, who clearly, when she decided since she had turned 18, she could do what she wanted as an adult, made a very poor choice in leaving her home and going and moving in with Mr. Louder, because she should have stayed home and continued to be a kid, even though she was 18, and not put herself into a situation where she was taking care of a 2-year-old every day, day after day, which is not an easy thing to do for those of us who have raised our own kids. And unfortunately, the evidence that was presented to the jury was very clear that on that fateful morning, for whatever reason, that Miss Medzie shook and beat that 2-year-old girl to death. I know she doesn't admit it, but the jury certainly was convinced. I heard the evidence and the testimony. The evidence and the testimony showed that she beat and shook that little 2-year-old girl to death. And I think the evidence also showed that it was pretty highly likely that Miss Medzie had been abusing that child for 6-7 weeks prior to the incident that resulted in the child's death. Probably all of the result of somebody too young being involved in something that they didn't want to do every day. Call it caregiver stress, call it whatever you want, but that's what happened. That's what happened to that little girl. It's a tragedy because Miss Medzie's people, of course, who love and support her, you know, some of those letters that I received, the people made it very clear that they believed that she was innocent and that somebody else should be held responsible. But that's not what the evidence showed. So I have to try to balance the fact that a little 2-year-old girl is dead at the hands of the defendant here versus the defense request for leniency and a much shorter jail term. Again, the probation office is recommending 20 to 40. Shaw then gave his sentencing recommendation, saying that the Commonwealth concurs with the recommendation by the probation department due to Jennifer's denial, no remorse, and her mother coming in and saying she is innocent. Donaldson responded, asking the judge for a much shorter period of incarceration with as lengthy of supervision after that as possible. Ammerman's response, quote, "Okay, thank you very much. We'll proceed with the sentencing. For murder of the 3rd degree, a felony of the 1st degree, $1 fine plus cost, a minimum of 20 years, a maximum of 40 years, state correctional institution for women at Muncie," end quote. He went through sentences for the other charges, allowing them to run concurrent with the murder 3 sentence. And he went through more of the legalities, and then the proceedings ended. Jennifer Medzie's life was changed forever. Next time on Can't Stop, Won't Stop Warriors, Jennifer Medzie will tell us what it was like after hearing her 20 to 40 year sentence and what the process looked like before ending up at her current location of SCI Cambridge Springs. So many people have failed Sophia Margaret Hoffman. However, as of this episode, Jennifer Medzie is still the only person to be convicted for this sweet baby girl's death. And she's currently sitting in her 9th year of her 20 to 40 year sentence at SCI Cambridge for 3rd degree murder. Thank you for your support. And please don't forget to like and subscribe to Can't Stop, Won't Stop Warriors on YouTube. It's free, and it's an easy way to help get more awareness out about the corruption happening throughout this country.
And alright.